Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast with your host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. How are you guys doing? Did you have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend? Did you spend all of your hard-earned money this weekend on Black Friday deals that were so good that you couldn't pass up? Did you get like 15 sweaters for $5, 13 scented candles for 50 cents? More power to you. If you got a punctured lung while fighting over a 50-cent flat screen, then, whatever it takes. But if you are all hemmed up with that punctured lung and you need something to listen to, then I got you. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to provide you with the latest basketball news, and that's what we're going to do today. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you guys about how Joel Embid says that he's already the best defender in the NBA. I'm talking to you a little bit about how Lebrons' hotel decision has caused a ripple all over the NBA. And I'm also going to ask you guys I want to know if you guys think Dwight Howard's a Hall of Famer. And just because it's interesting to talk about, his numbers are incredible, but I believe that his expectations, he didn't meet people's expectations. So he may be being held to a little bit of a higher standard, maybe. So we'll get into that a little bit later, and then I'm gonna give you guys a pick of the day. I'm also gonna give you a game of the night, and those are different, as we've talked about before. They might be the same, they might be different. We don't know. You got to hang around to find out. Either way, in Joel Embid's latest interview, he said he feels like as of right now, he's the best defender in the NBA. He says he's got a lot of things to work on, but he can't wait to be 100%. He said in another interview several days ago that he feels like right now he's 71%. So Joel Embid was the third overall pick in the 2014 draft. This season, he's played 16 games. Over the course of his career, he's played 47. Because he's had some injuries and he's been played with some stuff, basketball player stuff. That kind of stuff. Also, they try not to play him as much because his contract has quote unquote complex salary cap protections. And what I think that means is that they have something worked out where we're going to sign you for this much money, but we're not going to play you all the time. You're really, really good, but because you're kind of fragile and we kind of want to win a championship, we're not going to play you that hard. We're not playing you all the time. So Joel Embid has been someone that has trusted the Philly process. The Philly process has been just losing and tanking a bunch of games consecutively all the time so you can get the greatest picks, which looking back on it seems like a brilliant strategy. A lot of people weren't very happy about it because they said that it was embarrassing the league and it didn't make the NBA look good. However, if in the NBA you're either going to go to the playoffs or you're going to win the championship or you're garbage. That's the rankings, right? Like that's how it goes. If you're not in the playoffs, then people feel like you're garbage. It's not like the NFL where you can play really, really well and it's like, oh man, we were this close, but we played really well. Our record's good, but we didn't make it. In the NBA, if you don't make it to the playoffs, people feel like you're garbage. So if the Sixers decided they want to lose all their games or just try really, really hard and still not make the playoffs, like, I don't know, a bunch of teams that don't make the playoffs that still aren't drafting well, then I feel like they have every right to lose a whole bunch of games. If the fans are still buying season tickets to go watch them purposely lose games, then, I mean, as a consumer, you have the right to like make your own decisions with your money. So if an organization says we are going to lose all of our games until we can get good draft picks, and you still choose to buy season tickets, I'm going to say that within that situation, you have to take personal responsibility. Either way, Joel Embid is happy about the process. He believes in the process. In fact, his nickname is the process. I feel like that's more of a self-proclaimed nickname. So he said he's the best defender right now in the NBA. That's how he feels. And I mean, for him to be a 7'2" animal and the same beast, block people's shots and yell at them, I mean, as of right now, with no one else making that claim, I'm gonna say he's the best defender too. Right now he's ranked 5th in blocks. He's averaging 1.3 blocks per game. He said he admits his blocks are a little down, but he can be better. He's behind players such as Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis in blocks right now, which, I mean, those are pretty good names to be ranked among. I mean, when it comes to blocks. Besides the blocks, he's averaging 22 points per game, 3 assists. Now, I'm 22 points a game, 11 rebounds and 3 assists. He's balling. That's not just, now those aren't just double numbers. Let's not say, because when people say double, I feel like it's more of a way for us to give someone credit that has maybe like less than 17 points. This isn't a double. Well, it's kind of in a pun way, it's a double because it's 22 and 11. You get it? That makes sense. You don't get it? All right. Let's do it again, and maybe you'll get it. But it's a double in that sense. But when you're having 22 buckets and 11 total rebounds and 3 assists as a center, I feel like you're balling. I feel like he's doing a pretty good job. And this is all solely based on this Philly process. One day, Philadelphia was, they were kind of not a big deal. We didn't really care. And I think a lot of us, I'm not myself included, because I feel like teams in professional leagues tank games all the time for better picks. But because they admitted they were doing it, they got kind of a bad rap of purposely losing games, which again, I don't think is very bad. But suddenly they're good again. They kind of ended up stacked by doing this, because they got another first pick this season, which is Markelle Fultz. Then they have Ben Simmons, who didn't play last year because he was hurt. And then they still have Jahlil Okafor just hanging out on the bench. He was a big deal several years ago. He was drafted from Duke. He was supposed to be a big deal, but now because they have so many great players, he just doesn't even play. So they kind of have an embarrassment of the riches. And somehow, some way, the 76ers are ranked 5th in the Eastern Conference. Somehow this happened. Now, don't ask me how the 76ers ended up being 5th. I'm not 100% sure. All I know is this. If Joel Embid says he's the best defender in the NBA, I'm going to just roll with him saying he's the best defender in the NBA. He was asked a couple days ago how he feels about the conversations about him being disrespectful during basketball games, because he has dunked on people and then yelled at them. He's been mega physical with people. He's used the B word to grown men at times when you probably shouldn't do that. You honestly, you don't really know what type of level you're on with someone. I don't really think that's a word you should go just throwing about. You're only going to get so many B words in this life, just throwing them all about as though you're just speaking to an actual female dog. You can't just run around just saying that word as though you're in the pound yelling at female dogs. It doesn't work that way. That's not how it goes. But he was asked about it. He was asked and he said, basketball's all fun and games. I'm just here to have a good time. If people are taking it too seriously, then if they're getting their feelings hurt, that's not really my problem. They should go play something else. I mean, that's a paraphrase, but for the most part, he was like, you know what, you just got to suck it up, because this is where we're at right now. He also said, I'm 7'2", and I'm African, so I don't really think anyone wants it with me. So he's going to say he's the best defender in the league and then just make an open challenge and say no one's ever going to do anything about it because I'm me and I can just say and do whatever I want because I'm Joel Embid. I'm Joel Embid and I'm 7'2". I'm fine with that. I'm fine. Now, I feel like in the NBA or in sports, we want a character. We want someone that is going to have, a good time on the court, a good time on the field, wherever they're at. We want someone that's going to talk a lot and have a good time. But when it's interesting because when they end up becoming too good, if they're too good, if we can notice them kind of well, or if they become too outspoken, suddenly we want to shut them down. Suddenly when someone's no longer an underdog, we don't want to cheer for them anymore. But no, Joel Embid is on the Sixers, and he basically is letting us know that nobody wants it. A couple days ago, he said this about Andre Drummond. Defensively, he doesn't play any defense. When we started the game, he was being aggressive, and he was talking too. So what I was like, in my mind, you want to do that? I'm going to kick you in the butt. So that's what I did. He didn't say but, he said a different word. But he's just letting people know what's going on in the game and how he feels, which is great because we get a lot of athletes at the podium and we do these interviews. We ask them questions. They don't answer the questions. Hey, what was going on with that one play? Oh, we just did because coach said, and then we went up and then, we ran the play and then we did this. And then after that, we did okay. All right. What about the other play? Oh, well, I was thinking that we should do this and I did that. And instead, this is the outcome. No, you ask Joel Embid what happened. He says, well, this is what happened. I was on the block. He reached and I teached, dunked all on his face. And that's how I feel. And nobody can handle me because I'm African and I'm 7'2". That's the type of interview that I want to hear. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with a little bit of arrogance in basketball. There's only 10 players on the court. What are we going to do? I can't really hear about the X's and O's all the time. A lot of times when they are talking about the X's and O's, there aren't any because the ball was stolen. Somebody spent off someone else, did a Euro step, and banged on someone. There's no X and O's for that. That's just defense. So I'm all for Joel Embid. I'd like to see the Sixers go to the playoffs. The most riveting story that can come out of this is forget the Celtics. Let's just skip that. Let's skip the Celtics. I want to see the Sixers play the Cavaliers in the playoffs. I believe this would be the best matchup possible. Why you might ask? I'm going to tell you why. We keep hearing about the Bucks and Giannis and all this stuff. And when it comes to Giannis, I feel like Giannis is more like a Kevin Durant-ish player where the younger Kevin Durant that everyone loved and everyone had a t-shirt of with him riding a unicorn and like feeding kids ice cream. That Kevin Durant. Quiet, doesn't say a lot, incredibly humble, really, really outstandingly good, but doesn't want to acknowledge it because people don't like when you acknowledge your talent. They really like when you're struggling. So Giannis more or less reminds me of him. Reminds me of Durant. So that whole Bucks matchup against the Cavs, not looking forward to it because Giannis is going to play LeBron as though he respects him, and not that he's scared of him, but he's playing like he respects him. No, LeBron's so great, it's an honor to go up against him. No, not Joel Embid. If Joel Embid goes up against LeBron, you know what they're going to say? Hey, Joel Embid, how does it feel to go up against LeBron? Are you excited? This is your first time in the playoffs. You're excited? He's going to say, listen, ask LeBron how he feels to be going up against me. Ask him if he's excited. I'm Joel Embid. Trust this process. LeBron's going to get upset. He may post a little meme or post an Instagram post that we can't seem to decipher. Joel Embid to get on his Instagram and do something else because Joel Embid to get on Instagram and disrespect people directly. And now shooting fingers turn to Twitter fingers. And we have great playoff beef. We haven't had this great a playoff beef since Lance Stevenson was blowing in LeBron's ear, or maybe when Deshaun Stevenson was beefing with LeBron when they had the Wizards versus the Cavs beef back in the day. But this right here, this Philly versus Cavs beef, I I couldn't be more prepared for this. I could not be more prepared. There's no way I could be more prepared. I'm genuinely prepared. In fact, I'm wearing a Philly jersey right now with the Cavs hat. It does not match at all. They're two completely different colors, but that's how ready I am. When I get back, I'm going to talk to you guys about the legend, or the old legend of Derrick Rose. He might be retiring. That might be the end of an era. Be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. This is your host, Ryan Holloway. Welcome back. Thank you for hanging out. I was just wrapping up telling you guys about the legend of Joel Embid. He continues to just be a different beast and a different animal all over the NBA. He reportedly says that as of right now, he says he's the best defender in the league, and no one can do anything about it because he's 7'2", and nobody wants to see him, or nobody wants those hands. He didn't say that as a direct quote, but that is my paraphrase for the time being. As promised, I wanted to tell you guys about Derrick Rose. Now, you should remember Derrick Rose. At one point, he was an MVP for Chicago. That season, he averaged about 25 points per game. He was, how would I explain how good Derrick Rose was? I'm just going to say he was outstanding. I don't have a list of superlatives to describe Derrick Rose at this time, but he was an outstanding player. If you never got to see Derrick Rose play at his best, imagine watching Russell Westbrook, but if he never took jump shots. So Russell does this thing where he'll come down, do a Euro step, and go to the cup, or he'll come down and take a mid-range jumper. Derrick Rose almost never took jump shots. He just up and down the court, sprint all day. Super fast, amazing hops, two-handed dunks, off 2 feet all the time. He was super explosive. It was something else. Then he had an injury and another injury and another injury and another injury. And he just wasn't quite the same. Now, during he was going to do like let's say a resurgence of his career, and he's going to he ended up going to the Knicks. Last year's Knicks with Melo, Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose. Wasn't the illest Knicks team, probably wasn't. There was a situation with the Knicks when he just didn't go to one of the games. Pretty much no call, no showed on the game. Wasn't there, and they wasn't there basically. Came back, said he had a family issue, and stuff happens. During the offseason, he ended up on the Cavs. While on the Cavs, he suffered some injuries. He's played all of 7 games, and he's averaging right now 14.3 points per game. He's averaging 14, right? But he's averaging 14 as someone that can't get his stride right. So he hasn't even really played enough consecutive games to get in stride. When he was with the Knicks last season, he averaged 18. His MVP year, he gave you 25. So it's kind of like, he's not even playing bad. He's just not the MVP D Rose. A couple days ago, before the Cavs game, he decided he wasn't going to play and he just wasn't going to travel with the team. Because he has this injury that basically just, that wouldn't heal. He's got an ankle injury, and turns out he's going to be out 2 more weeks, longer than expected. And he left. So he's he left and said he's going to basically like weigh his NBA future. And like, he's just frustrated of his injuries, and he's basically evaluating whether or not he should continue to play. Right now, he's on a 1-year minimum deal with he's on a 1-year veterans minimum with the Cavs, which would basically, I mean, it's not, I'm not going to say it's not a lot of money, but it's not, it's not a lot of money as compared to what I'm going to tell you right now. If he decides to walk away from his adidas contract, he signed a 13-year, $185 million contract with adidas. So if he walks away from that, adidas is protected from retirement if he walks away, and he's going to leave $80 million on the table. $80 million. So right now, the veterans minimum that the Cavs are paying him is $500,000. Okay, $500,000, which that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot. That's a lot. Depending on who's listening to this. If you don't feel like that's a lot, then, you know, more power to you. That's cool. Contact me, and go ahead and, you know, we can work out a way where you can show me how $500,000 isn't a lot. You can just show me, like, you could give it to me, and then I'm going to do an experiment on my own. I'm going to go invest it and make some moves and spend it. And then I'll report back to you and tell you how you were right and it wasn't a lot. And then you can give me another 500,000. So yeah, just reach out, you know, GSMC_basketball at Twitter. So either way, he's going to, if he walks away from the Cavs, and yeah, he'll walk away from the $500,000. If he walks away from the NBA and retires, he's gonna walk away from $80 million. Now, I was just having this conversation with a colleague of mine, and we were going back and forth about, I felt like Derrick Rose would walk away because he's hurt. You know, like, I felt like he'd walk away because Derrick Rose is sitting back watching LeBron play, watching Westbrook play, and he's like, man, I used to be that. Like, I used to be that guy, and I'm not that guy anymore. I don't want to do this. You know, it's kind of one of those things where if you can't be your best, why do it all? When you really love something and you can't give it your all, then it's not the same. It's not the same thing. This is kind of like Allen Iverson. One of the best players in NBA history. If you say he's not top 50, then you're crazy. If AI could have played longer if he decided to be like 6 man or whatnot, but he wanted to start. So his career got all the way down to like the Grizzlies and then going over to Germany and playing. Why? Because he wanted to start. If he'd have been 6 man somewhere, he could have stayed in the league a little bit longer. But he didn't want to be 6 man. Why? Because if he can't be his best, he doesn't want to participate. He doesn't want to do that. And Derrick Rose is the same way. He's sitting back watching Westbrook get MVP and basically be better after injuries. Because I want to say Westbrook has like torn his ACL twice, and he's come back better and faster and stronger. But D Rose is having trouble recovering from the sniffles, and it's frustrating watching that as a player. So I felt like he would walk away because of his heart, because his heart hurts. And, you know, and no matter what your situation is, people that are depressed, people that if you're going through an emotional problem, we all make bad decisions. No matter what your emotional state is, practicality can't really tell you a lot. Somebody can say, hey man, you got to go to work tomorrow. It's your last day. If you don't, it's your last point. If you miss work tomorrow, they'll fire you. I can't go to work, man. I miss her. I can't breathe. I can't eat. And then you get fired. So we all make bad decisions when emotions are involved. So I was telling my colleague that I think Derrick Rose is done. And then I was told, you know, well, if he walks away now, he's going to walk away from some money. I was like, nah, he'll be fine. He's grossed over $100 million, la, 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 la. And then I was told, no. You're missing something. Then I got hit with this bombshell. You know what I was told? This is what I was informed of. I knew that he signed an Adidas deal. I knew he signed an Adidas deal for $193 million. I knew all that. I just didn't know how the money was going to work itself out. Apparently, if he decides not to play, Adidas doesn't have to give him $80 million. $80 million. So in 2012, he signed this sneaker deal, which is for 13 years, $185 million. Over the course of his whole career, he's made $117 million. Now, let's say Derrick Rose is the creme de la creme of professional athletes. No. Let's say this. Let's say Derrick Rose is a creme de la creme of financial geniuses within sports, and he's made this $117 million, and he's invested it well to the point where he's probably turned it into, I don't know, 150. Let's just say that. Okay. You still can't walk away from $80 million. You can't walk away from 80 million, even if because even if he is a financial genius, even if he is, all of our tastes go up a little bit when we get a little bit more bread in our pockets. We get a little more money. We start feeling ourselves a little more. Everybody's taste goes up. You got your Christmas bonus a couple of days ago. What'd you do? You were all out in the mall on Black Friday, buying more than one TV for 50 cents, buying more than one snorkel parka for $10. You were out there buying a little bit more because you got your Christmas bonus. You got a little bit more money in your pocket. So people start feeling good about themselves. So even if he has $117 million that he turned into 150, he still got to feed a tiger. He still has a Bentley payment. His kids probably go to private school. He has long hair. I don't know how much he pays a girl to do his hair or pays the person to do his hair. Let me not discriminate. But all these things are expensive. You can't walk away from $80 million, even if you have 150. I don't care how sad you are. That's rude of me to say, but I have to say that as someone who's coming from a practical. I have to say that to somebody who would want someone to give me that advice. If I'm ever in a situation where I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm not myself. And if I can't do my job to my best ability, I don't want to do my job anymore. But Ryan, it's 80 million. Yeah, I'm just sad, man. I need you to grab me by my collar of my shirt. If I'm wearing a jacket, grab me by the lapels of my blazer and just shake me, just shake me like that. And that's if he has 117 plus, a little bit of investment bread. Let's say Derrick Rose has been the most fiscally irresponsible athlete in the history of sports. Let's say that. Let's say he's blown $117 million. Let's say he's blown $117 million and he owes somebody in Dubai like $10 million just on strength, because when athletes start wilding out and having a lot of bread, other people that want to take advantage of athletes start handing out these strange loans like, oh, hey, man, just do it. Don't even worry about it, bro. It's on the house. It's on the house this time. Hey, pay us later. And they just mark up these amazing tabs, expecting athletes to come back and write them a check for some random amount that they've clocked in. Turns out that person that you were just crediting all this jewelry and gambling debt to doesn't actually have the money. Now you're upset and you're trying to sue them. So let's say you owe somebody in Dubai a random $10 million and he blew his whole $117 million. You have to play now. You can't not play now. You have to play and collect $80 million. And here's the thing. The way I see it, if you're going to get paid $80 million just to sit on the bench, just to sit there, you got to go collect that. You have to go collect that. And you want to know why you really got to collect it. This is why I'm going to tell you why you have to collect it. Are you guys ready for this? Are you ready? Here's the thing. I make a lot of independent choices on my own because I, myself, am a single individual. I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have any of that stuff. So decisions I make on my own, whether they be bad, whether they be horrendous, whether they be great, whether they're triumphant, they're my decisions to own. However, Derrick Rose has kids and a wife. You can't tell your wife you're going to walk away from $80 million. How does that conversation go? Hey, honey, what are you doing home today? Oh, I left the Cavs today. Oh, you guys are, you're doing some rehab for the injury? No, I'm not gonna play anymore. Oh, and because, within marriages, successful marriages, each other's finances, right? So she probably knows off top, like, doesn't adidas need you to play the next 3 years so you can get that 80 million? And Derrick Rose can say, see about so the 80, I figure, I made 117 already. And I could just imagine his wife with her arms crossed, just with her head to the side. Like, there's no way you're going to talk me out of $80 million. It's like, yeah, so I'm just thinking we could just spend some time together and probably just go live, we could move to like Thailand. It's real cheap there. And we could everything would be great. Like, and the kids, they could learn Thai and everything would be cheaper. I mean, we could live life out there. And she just keeps looking at him with no response, just staring at him, just looking at him. And then he puts his shoes and shorts on and his jersey and then walks back out and goes back to the Cavs and finishes the season. That's it. That's all. There's no different way. This is what we're going to do. I'm enjoying this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a break. We're going to pay a bill real quick. And when I get back, I'm going to tell you guys more about this $80 million fiasco. Be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA Podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast on the GSMC Podcast Network, brought to you by your host, me, Ryan Holloway. Follow us at GSMC_basketball. Continued. So I was telling you guys about Derrick Rose and about how he doesn't, he's taking a break from the Cavs right now. Tyronn Lue said, I want him to take his time. It's a personal matter. Just know the team and coaches, the organization will have his back. I wish him well, and we expect to have him back. So that's usually one of those statements. That's one of those statements like when someone says something and you think, oh, we expect to have him back. That's nice of him to say. That's understandable. I see. That's not because like they necessarily need him, because he's averaging 14 and LeBron is putting it on the show. LeBron doesn't need anyone else. They expect to have him back because if he walks away, Adidas gets to not pay him $80 million, which is like, I bet Adidas is like, hey man, look, wait, let me tell you, wait, hold on. So ever since Derrick Rose got hurt, Derrick Rose signed this contract, right, for $185 million over the course of 13 years. And his poor play have like diminished his star power. But Adidas still has to promote his shoes. They still have to pay him this money, which is fascinating to me because of all the like Adidas athletes I can think of, you got Derrick Rose, I believe you got Dwight Howard, we got Damian Lillard, James Harden. It seems like the most, I guess, celebrated athlete in Adidas is James Harden, unless we're going to count Kanye as an athlete. I mean, he produces music. I mean, that's a sport, right? So it doesn't. So if I'm Adidas right now, I'm paying Kanye and I'm paying James Harden. I think you're probably calling Derrick Rose like, hey man, we don't want to make you do anything that you don't want to do. So hey, just don't feel any pressure from us. If this is something that you feel like you have to do for your family and for your health and for your time, I mean, there's no shame in walking away, man. There's no shame. If you feel like basketball is just not right for you anymore, you can walk away. We wouldn't judge you here. We wouldn't. And if you ever need anything, just we'd help you out. And just if this is something that you can no longer do, we understand. Adidas is calling, ask, hey, how you feeling? Are you going to play? Or Adidas is just fingers super crossed? Because Adidas doesn't want to give Derrick Rose $80 million. Why would they want to give him $80 million? Meanwhile, Derrick Rose's camp, I don't know who you can have around you that wouldn't be for you keeping $80 million. Now, I was having this conversation with a colleague of mine about this situation. And I felt like if Derrick Rose didn't come back, it would be because of the heart. Like it's because, he's tired of watching just everybody ball. Westbrook is balling, and he used to be kind of like Westbrook. We used to be a lot like Westbrook. I felt like it was because of the heart. Then I found out that if he walks away, Adidas got to pay him. If he walks away, Adidas doesn't have to pay him $80 million. And when I found that, I was like, the heart. Oh, well, I mean, heart smart, $80 million. You better put that check in my rib cage. So, and we had a conversation back and forth about whether or not you have the right people around you, because you know how some athletes, they made a documentary called Broke. And it was about how people get all this bread and they go buy mink coats and go buy tigers, buy different color helicopters and blow all their bread. They got the wrong people around them. They have alleged financial people that are helping them out, but they're really just blowing half their bread, like Don King, Mike Tyson style. So I was told that if he was to not come back, he may have the wrong people around him. But I actually hope he has the wrong people around him so that he does come back, because the wrong people around you, they're not going to let you walk away from $80 million. And I'd rather have snakes in my life that would make me go play for $80 million than rather than have people that be like, hey man, you know what? You got to do what's best for you, bro. And if the $80 million isn't going to make you happy, and like if your soul isn't in the game anymore, then just walk away from the $80 million. No. I don't need anybody around me like that. I need people around me that need me to go back and get this $80 million. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure who is in Derrick Rose's staff, record label, or crew, but whoever it is, they got to get that. They have to get him back on the court. You can't walk away from $80 million. How do you tell somebody that? How do you tell somebody you walk away from $80 million? I'm going to say the most triumphant thing about being a professional athlete is these endorsements, because I think I'm going to say one of the most impressive things is how you can get paid $500,000 for playing your sport. However, someone owes you $80 million for wearing the shoes while you play your sport. You can't go wrong with you can't go wrong with that. You cannot. The thing is this. With this money situation, I know Derrick Rose is more of a, I'm going to say, what's the word? Introverted guy. I don't see him talk a lot. I don't see him do a lot of stuff. So I don't know how many technicals he's gotten. Okay. But technicals are expensive. Dwight Howard the other day got a technical for doing like a gesture with his hands in his mouth and his tongue. It was gross. If you want to, you can Google it. It probably isn't something that you'd want to Google while you're around anyone that that thought highly of you. If they see it pop up on your screen, they may think that you're strange, but that's on you. His technical was $35,000. Earlier in this month, he got another technical for giving a gesture to a fan. That one was $25,000. Prior to those two, he had 4 other technicals. So he's got 6 technicals this season. And they all range from $25,000 to $35,000. These are just the technicals. So I don't know how much other things cost in Derrick Rose's life, but if he has any technical fouls on his record, I believe that he needs to reevaluate the way that he needs to reevaluate this decision, because here's the thing. I'm not a brilliant financial mind, but I'm going to tell you that I'm going to go out on the limb. I did some math during the commercial break while you guys were eating your cereal and waiting patiently for me to come back. And I did some math, and based on my math, it's astronomical. You guys ready? Don't get lost in the calculations. Based on my math, $80 million is a lot of money. Okay, I could be wrong. I could be. I don't know. You guys might want to check that. Contact Tesla. Call Apple. See if that's right. But based on my calculations, $80 million is a lot of money. So hopefully Derrick Rose figures that out, because I already got it figured out. Let me jump back to Dwight Howard for a second. So Dwight Howard, for a while now, I'm going to say he hasn't been meeting people's expectations. Maybe because he played for Orlando for a while, then went to the Lakers. Like, I think people might have expected him to be Shaq. Really, really bad. Because he was in Orlando. Orlando had not had a great player since Shaquille O'Neal. They have not. Not even, oh wait, I'm sorry, they had T-Mac. But I guess because Dwight Howard is huge and he bangs on people and he blocks shots, and he has like a lot of charisma. He reminded people of Shaq. When he went to the Lakers, he still wasn't Shaq. And it seems like people just really like desperately want him to be Shaq. He only spent 1 year on the Lakers, and that Lakers team, I'm not going to say it was trash. I'm just going to say that it was washed Kobe, washed Steve Nash, and washed Mike Brown. That's where we were with that. It wasn't very good. Then he spent a couple years with Houston, went to Atlanta, now he's in Charlotte. Now, I feel like Dwight Howard gets a bad rap because I was on the Twitter machine a couple weeks ago, and it was talked about whether or not he was a Hall of Famer, and it caused an outrageous like level of just madness and vitriol towards Dwight Howard. And I wanted to just go take a look at his numbers because people were saying he's soft and he's phony and he's not very good. But I went to go take a look at his numbers, and Dwight Howard has played 973 games. His career averages are 17 buckets, 12 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. Now, those are solid numbers, and I feel like he's gotten a bad rap just because people wanted him to just be like Hakeem Olajuwon or somebody. Just they wanted him to be the most outstanding player just in the history of centers. Not 100% sure why that happened, but I don't know what the beef is towards him. Yeah, he did these gestures and he got some fines that are, I mean, they're not a lot of money. Well, I'm not going to get back on the money thing. For $35,000 for him, he's made about $200 million in his career. It's probably not a lot. For Derrick Rose, is about to walk away from $80 million. That might be a lot. Dwight Howard has also been Defensive Player of the Year 3 times, and he's been to the finals. He carried Orlando to the finals all by himself. Well, they had some shooters, but you know. And I think that he gets a bad rap, and I feel like he's easily a power forward. I don't think that, I'm sorry, easily a Hall of Famer, and I don't think it's something that could even be debated. Right now, his defensive rating is 99.2. So I really want to know what the beef with Dwight Howard is. If you get a chance feedback, if you guys get a chance, I want you to hop on the Twitter machine, contact me at GSMC_basketball, and let me know whether or not you think Dwight Howard is a Hall of Famer. If he's not a Hall of Famer, then I want you to tell me why he's not. I want to know, because it seems like there's just this beef with him. And yeah, he didn't win a championship. Yeah, he didn't carry your Lakers. He didn't carry your Lakers all the way to the finals. I know that's what a lot of Laker fans wanted. And I don't know, maybe Knicks fans are mad that he ended up on the Knicks. I'm not 100% sure, but I need to know what the beef about Dwight Howard is. I just want to understand. Also, Dwight Howard had a few different back issues, and for those of you that have ever had a hurt back or like sprained the back, then you may feel this, and for those of you that haven't, you may not. But the back isn't anything to play with ever. So I'm not making an excuse for him, but I'm just saying, from the bounce back and even still be in the game, I mean, my hat goes off to him. I want to go ahead and tell you a few players who match his existing numbers when it comes to similarity within his averages. Okay? Patrick Ewing, Moses Malone, Hakeem Olajuwon, Robert Parrish. Now, if that isn't good company to be in, then I'm not 100% sure what more you want from Dwight Howard. I'm happy with Dwight Howard. I think he should be a Hall of Famer when he does retire eventually. I'm not sure when that is going to be, because he is just around the league, just averaging 17 points and 12 boards while making like a borderline disgusting gestures to fans and losses too. These gestures and technicals always happen in the second quarter in a loss. So he does this in the second quarter. He gets a technical, then they lose the game. Happened against the Cavs, happened against the Pistons. I'm not sure what the pattern is, but my advice is going to be this. You should stop getting technicals in the second quarter and just see if it changes the strategy of how things work themselves out. That's what I have for you guys on Dwight Howard. When I get back, I'm going to give you the game of the night, the pick of the night. I'm also going to tell you about how LeBron's hotel choices are affecting the Trump brand. Be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network with your host, Ryan Holloway. If you guys missed the last segment, I was explaining to you about how Derrick Rose cannot walk away from $80 million because there's going to be some questions. If you walk away from $80 million, I'm going to need to know what else you have going on the side, whether or not I need to know what business you're running, Derrick Rose, and you can walk away from $80 million. It's going to raise some questions. Usually when you have too much money, the IRS starts asking questions. But if you walking away from too much money, there's going to be some real questions. People want to know. Inquiring minds would like to know. So anyhow, I also talked about whether or not Dwight Howard is a Hall of Famer. And I believe he is. If you don't think he is, I really would like to know why. Don't just tell me he's soft. Don't tell me that. Tell me why you think he's not a Hall of Famer, and you can at me at GSMC_basketball. Guess what happened? I'm going to tell you what happened. So, as you know, well, not really as you know, but Trump's been involved in a lot of basketball lately. You know, with the whole in professional sports a lot lately. He says that the NFL ratings are down because of athletes taking knees, and then he had the beef with LiAngelo Ball and LeVar Ball and the China thing. You know, there was that whole thing going on. But it seems like the tables have turned a little bit. Recently, we just found out that Trump's branding company is going to step away from a hotel that's in New York. It's called the Trump Soho, and soon it's going to have a new name because it's been losing a lot of money. Last year in December, LeBron James decided he didn't want to stay at that hotel. So he's not going to stay there anymore. Doesn't want any parts of it. Doesn't want to stay there because it's got the guy's name on it. He just doesn't want any parts of it. Decided he didn't want to go. Another player who was vocal about it was Jabari Parker for the Bucks. He said that he doesn't want to support racism by going to that hotel, which is fascinating to me because Jabari Parker has been injured like the last couple seasons, and I haven't even heard anything from him other than this quote. Which, I mean, I'm glad that you're participating in, and I'm glad you're participating in social stuff right now because it doesn't seem like you've been playing any basketball for the last couple of years, and that's okay. Long as I can get some type of quote from you, I'm fine with it. The Bucks, the Mavs, and the Grizzlies have all decided to stop staying at this hotel. The investors noticed that they've been losing money. Somebody who works, one of the employees that works there, one of the porters, waiters, waitresses, didn't say who, they said that people that were working there were making are making because it's an expensive area, they're making nearly $60,000 like annually. That's based on minimum wages plus tips. Cause if you work in the service industry, a lot of your money's gonna be from tips. They said they were making about nearly $60,000 a year. They said that's been split in half. They're not bringing in anywhere near that amount of loot anymore. So everyone's losing money. People aren't staying there. Athletes aren't staying there. The important people, the tastemakers that say that they should be staying there, they're not staying there. Another thing that one of the employees noted was that about 20 of the regulars, like the regulars that are there, how would I say, I can't give you any specific names, but the regular people that frequent this hotel often. I don't know what type of celebrity secret, top secret stuff that you're involved in to be at this hotel that I don't get to know your name. But employee reported that about 20 of those people just aren't there anymore, and they would be there like eating lunch, or they'd stay there. They would just be there all day, just doing rich people stuff. I guess that's what you do. So I told one of our callers a while ago, if they feel like $500,000 isn't a lot of money, then just let me get that, and I'll show them how it's not a lot of money. So once I get that $500,000, I'm gonna go to this hotel and just hang out and see if I notice anyone that I know, and I'm gonna be there for a minute, and I'm gonna leave, so I can be one of the noticeables to stop going. So that's kind of like my dynamic plot. So I thought this was interesting because I don't know if LeBron meant to make this a movement, but him just saying this in December has come around full swing. Almost a year later, they have to rebrand the hotel. So soon, the hotel is gonna have a different name. And I mean, talk about social justice. I don't even think LeBron was like trying to boycott this. I just think he didn't want to give that person any of his money, which it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, the platform and reach that professional athletes have. Not just to regular people, but to other people that are within their circle. It's not like LeBron stopped going to the Quinta Inn, and then a whole bunch of people were like, yeah, I'm not going to the Quinta Inn anymore either. No, he stopped going somewhere where all the rich people go. And about 20 of them were like, hey, I'm not going to go there anymore. And the workers are losing half of their wages. I'm not sure who these 20 people were, but if 20 people stop going somewhere over the course of 12 months, and that means half the people, that means that the people aren't making what they were making before. Those 20 people have bread. I'm not going to say Elon Musk and Bill Gates were there. I'm just going to say that I don't know if Elon Musk and Bill Gates were there. That's it. So, I mean, more power to LeBron for, I guess, making a movement and not really meaning to create a movement. I'm all for it, LeBron. Thank you. As promised, I told you guys I'm going to give you a pick of the night along with a game of the night. The pick of the night is obviously what you're going to pick to bet on, and the game of the night is what you're going to pick to watch. Now, this was kind of hard for me a little. This was kind of hard a little bit, just a little bit. But are you ready? Are you guys ready? What I'm going to give you? I'm going to give you guys a playoff preview. Playoff preview: Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Philadelphia 76ers. It is in Philly, and as I said this a little bit earlier, but I'm going to say it again. I want to see LeBron play Joel Embiid in the playoffs because I think it's going to be outstanding. It's going to be a jubilant event because Joel Embiid is going to try his hardest to dunk on LeBron and just yell at him after. I mean, if he does do that, we don't really know because Joel Embid has been doing this thing where he only really dunks on and yells at people whose names that we're not that familiar with. Like it hasn't happened to any big name players yet. He hasn't called a big name player the B word or stood over them after he dunked on them or yelled at them or smacked the ball into the stands and then yelled at them. It hasn't happened quite yet. So tonight we'll get to find out whether or not, I'm not going to say whether or not Joel Embiid is about that life, but we'll just find out whether or not he's willing to go head up against LeBron. Also, I want to say that LeBron isn't excited about Joel Embiid running around all willy-nilly acting like he owns the NBA. I I don't think that LeBron is happy about that because it's LeBron's league, and LeBron isn't having that. He's really not. That's the game I like to watch. That's when I need you guys to watch that game. Now, are you ready for the pick of the night? Okay, I'm going to give you this. Now, don't get scared now, okay? I know this might seem a little overwhelming to you, but don't get scared. Are you ready? All right, check this out. I'm going to need you guys to go ahead and take the Brooklyn Nets plus 16 points. Now, I know it might sound a little bit scary. I know it might sound scary because 16 points, because we're playing the Rockets, and the Rockets are really good. They're amazing. In fact, they're in first place. Chris Paul's back. You know, James Harden is willing to just put up 1 million buckets whenever he wants to, and it's nothing to him. However, 16.5 is a lot of points. It's a lot. And even in the NBA, I want you to get to like the very end of the game and they start putting the scrubs in. Not the scrubs, that's rude. I'm sorry. They start putting the almost D-leaguers in, and the scores start to change. Even if the Rockets get up by like 20 points, they may win by 12, right? So I need you to take that game plus the 16.5 points. Take the handicap. I'm telling you, it's gonna win you guys some bread. So I'm not gonna brag about the other picks I've given you in the past because who does that? I'm not that type of person. I'm not the type of person to get you out of jail in China and then get on Twitter and say, you better tell me thank you or else my feelings will be hurt and I'm going to attack your dad online. I'm not the type of person to do all that. That's not something that I'm going to do. So all I'm going to say is if you want to listen to the past episodes and listen to those picks, you can do that. And if not, that's fine too. So tonight you will be watching courtesy of me. Well, not courtesy of me. I'm not going to broadcast the game. I'm just telling you guys that you should watch it. It's going to be the Cavs versus Philly. So LeBron against Joel Embid. It has the promise to be really good. If Joel Embid shows up and he's not the Joel Embid that he's been selling us, I'm going to have an outstanding amount of disappointment. If he shows up and he's banging on Kevin Love and just dunking all over everybody, I'm going to be pretty excited about that. Can't wait. And the game you guys should bet on tonight is going to be the Brooklyn Nets plus 16.5. Take that line. Guarantee it. I will talk to you guys again on Wednesday. I'm going to do a little bit of trade talk. Probably going to give you guys a review of this game. And I'm going to give you a slight preview. Like a little smidget. You know how when you take your two fingers and you squeeze them really small against each other like this? This is a slight smidget of a preview of the interview that I'm going to be doing on Friday. Oh, with all of that said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. You have a wonderful Monday. Thank you for joining me, Ryan Holloway, on the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Live long and prosper.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.